So this is the first question you'll get given. It's an inference question, and for this you will be given a source. This should take you around 5 minutes, perhaps just slightly over, because obviously you'll need time to read the source, or possibly it might be a picture to look at the source. So in this example, we're looking at the success of the Berlin Olympic Games in 1936, but obviously that will change from question to question. What's important here is, when you look at the source, you're not just being asked to infer two random details from the source. It will be about something. So, for example, in this one, I'm being asked about this source here, source A, and it's asking me, what can I learn from this source about the success of the Berlin Olympic Games in 1936? So make sure when you answer this question that your inference, what you can take from the source, relates to what you are being asked in the question. Don't just put some random inference down. Make sure it relates to the question. So you'll be asked what you can infer from the source and what detail in the source has made you say that. So detail in the source that tells me this. What I would suggest doing is perhaps sort of answering this question backwards. So pick the detail in the source and then say what you can infer from it. So for example, I'm going to write here detail in the source that tells me this. So I'm just going to pick a quote from the source. So here I have picked, the Nazis have run the games on an extravagant scale never before experienced. What you can see there is that is literally just word for word what is in the source. It says there, the Nazis have run the games on an extravagant scale never before experienced. So just write that there. Now I look at those words, I look at that small chunk of the source that I've analysed, and now I'm going to say, what can I infer from just that section that I've selected? And what I can infer from that is that the Berlin Olympics were effective at showing the economic recovery and prosperity of Nazi Germany. I might want to use the word propaganda there, don't I? Want to say it was effective propaganda for showing the economic recovery and prosperity of Nazi Germany. That's my first inference. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to do the same thing again. Again, I'm going to answer it backwards. I'm going to go detail in the source and what I can infer from it. So I'm going to go to the bottom where it says detail in the source that tells me this. I'm going to pick a detail in the source. So what I've picked here is this. The Nazis have put on a good show for the general visitors, especially those who are big businessmen. And I'm going to write that there. The Nazis have put on a good show for the general visitors, especially those who are big businessmen. And now I'm just going to decide an inference based on that small section there. What I can infer from this is that the games had helped the Nazis to gain favour with business owners, because the detail says they put on a good show for big businessmen. And I'm going to say here, I can infer from that that games had helped the Nazis to gain favour with business owners. With this question, the key things to do are make sure your inference is related to what you are being asked about. So in this case, the success of the Berlin Olympics. Also, make sure you pick a detail and that your inference relates to that detail. What I mean is, avoid summarizing the entire source. You don't want to do that. You want to pick a detail and then just an inference from the detail you have stated. Okay. If you are given a picture question, make sure you pick a detail in the source and infer something from that detail. Don't try and summarize the whole source. You want to pick a detail in the source and what you can infer from that small detail. Okay.